कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna devotees, welcome all of you to our daily morning Srimad Bhagavatam discussion. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 10, and today we're gonna discuss verse number 9. Hanyate Pashava Yatra Nirdaya Rajitatmabihi Manyamaner deham ajara mrityunashvaram. So we'll do now word-to-word translation. Hanyate are killed in many ways, especially by slaughterhouses. Pashavaha, four-legged animals, horses, sheep, cows, hogs, etc. Yatra, wherein, nirdayahe, by those merciless persons who are conducted by the mode of passion. Ajit atmabhihi, rascals who are unable to control the senses. Manyamanehe, are thinking. Imam, this. Deham, body. Ajara, will never become old or diseased. Amrityu, death will never come. Nashvaram, although the body is destined to be annihilated. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation: unable to control their senses, rascals who are falsely proud of their riches or their birth in aristocratic families are so cruel that to maintain their perishable bodies, which they think will never grow old or die, they kill poor animals without mercy. Sometimes they kill animals merely to enjoy an excursion. Would anyone would like to read the purport, please? All good, I can start. Purport. When the modes of passion and ignorance increase in human society, giving rise to unnecessary economic development, the result is that people become involved with wine, women, and gambling. Then, being bad, they maintain big slaughterhouses or occasionally go for pleasure excursions to kill animals, forgetting that however one may try to maintain the body is subject to birth, death, old age, and disease. Such foolish rascals engage in sinful activities one after another. Being dushkritis, they completely forget the existence of the Supreme Controller, who is sitting within the core of everyone's heart. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hridadeshe Arjuna Tishtati. That Supreme Controller is observing every bit of one's activity, and he rewards or punishes everyone by giving one a suitable body made by material nature. Brahmayan Sarvabhutani Yatrarudhani Mayaya. Yantrarudhani Mayaya. In this way, sinful persons automatically receive punishment in different types of bodies. The root cause of this punishment is that when one unnecessarily accumulates wealth, one becomes more and more degraded, not knowing that his wealth will be finished with his next birth. Nasadhu manye yata atmanoyam ashan api kleshada asha deha. Bhagavatam 5:54. Animal killing is prohibited. Every living being, of course, has to eat something. Jivo jivasya jivanam. But one should be taught what kind of food one should take. Therefore, the Isha Upanishad instructs, Tena tyaktena bhunjitaha. One should eat whatever is allocated for human beings. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 9.26, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti uparitam ashnami prayatatmanaha. If one offers to me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. A devotee, therefore, does not eat anything that would require slaughterhouses or poor animals. Rather, devotees take prasad of Krishna. Tena tyaktena bhunjitaha. Krishna recommends that one give him patram pushpam phalam toyam, a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water. Animal food is never recommended for human beings. Instead, a human being is recommended to take prasad, remnants of food left by Krishna. Yajna Shishtāshina Santo Mucchante Sarva Kilbishahe. Bhagavad Gita 3.13. If one practices eating prasad, even if there is some little sinful activity involved, one becomes free from the results of sinful acts. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayet nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati nashtaki. So we are continuing from yesterday's verse, and the theme is that in this verse we are going through response by Shukdev Goswami's to Parikshit Maharaj's question, because Parikshit Maharaj heard that Narad Muni cursed the two sons of Kuber. He was very surprised, because generally saintly persons, they are above the modes of material nature. Particularly Narad Muni, he's a special living being. He is already in a spiritual body. He can travel anywhere in the universe, including the Vaikunthas. And generally, when a curse is given, it is usually out of anger or rage or wrath. So Maharaj Parikshit couldn't understand how come such an elevated, exalted devotee like Narad Muni had cursed these two yakshas. Now, Sukdev Goswami, being a pure devotee himself, he is explaining the mental process of Narad Muni. Because what he is thinking to show to Parikshit Maharaj that what was done was not out of anger or out of rage. It was actually done for the moral upliftment of these two fallen yakshas. And in this particular verse, Narad Muni is discussing the evils of meat eating, particularly slaughterhouses. So in yesterday's verse, very interestingly, we discussed that how having wealth by uneducated people, that is more dangerous than someone having beauty or strength and things like that. But today, the focus is on meat eating. But interesting question is that it is not anywhere mentioned that Nalakuvera and Manigriva were actually eating meat. Yes, they were associating with society girl, so that girls, which is kind of illicit relationship. We can say yes, they were intoxicated. That is also confirmed. So they were breaking definitely two regulatory principles on the Mount Kailash gardens. But meat eating is not mentioned as part of the sinful activities they were doing, at least as far as we are informed from Srīmad Bhāgavatam. So this is very interesting, and we are going to discuss this. So now, there was another instance where Narad Muni, when he was traveling and he was coming to Prayag for the Magh Mela, and while walking through the jungle, he saw the hunter Mrigari. And Mrigari, we know the story, how Mrigari agreed to quit his activity of hunting after being preached by Narad Muni. And Narad Muni was somehow able to convince Mrigari to give up his sinful activities. And just as a sincere disciple, at the moment of surrender, he completely wants to give himself to the Guru. Similarly, Mrigari in the mood of surrender also asked what he should do. And Narad Muni gave very simple instruction to Mrigari, saying that you and your wife should distribute everything you have. All wealth you have, you should distribute. You should leave your home, and then you should go on the bank of a river. You should build a small hut or a kutir, and then in front of kutir have a Tulsi Devi plant, and just chant Hare Krishna. It's a very simple instruction Narad Muni gave to Mrigari. And in the purport of that episode, Prabhupada very nicely explains, Prabhupada mentions that it is very easy to build a little kutir or a hut or a house anywhere. What do we need to build a kutir? Just 4 logs of wood, and on top of those four logs of wood, which is the 4 legs of the house, we put some leaves as the roof, and then we put them together and we have a house ready. Now, then Prabhupada discusses this example on an allegorical platform, that there are 2 types of houses one can have. So one is a dharmic house and another is a adharmic house. So the dharmic house, the 4 logs of the dharmic house are, as you know, the 4 pillars of religion. They are cleanliness, truthfulness, mercy, and austerity. And each of those 4 logs hold up the house of dharma, where the saintly person or a devotee can live. And consequently, the adharmic house is the exact opposite in those 4 things. So if we engage in illicit relationships, that's a sinful activity that destroys the quality of cleanliness. So that, having illicit relationship is the first log of the adharmic house. Then if we engage in intoxication, that destroys our austerity. We can't be regulated if we are intoxicated. So this having intoxication is the second leg of the adharmic house. The third leg of the adharmic house is meat eating. And if we are engaging in meat eating, that destroys the principle of mercy. And finally, if we engage in gambling, that destroys the quality of the principle of truthfulness. And there is no way one can gamble while being truthful, because if one gambles, at some point or the other, they will have to lie. They will have to cheat. So gambling becomes the 4th log of the adharmic house. So Narad Muni could fully understand that these 2 fallen souls were engaged very clearly in 2 of the, breaking 2 of the 4 regulative principles, which is illicit sex and intoxication. We're very clear about that. But actually, if we look at it, they were also they were also breaking the 3rd principle, the regulative principle as well, which is gambling. Would anyone like to guess how Nalakuvera and Manigriva were also engaged in gambling when Narad Muni found them? Any guesses? That's okay. So because why they were engaged in gambling? Because anytime we venture into breaking any of the 4 regulative principles, that is gambling in itself. Why? Because we think we are breaking, or we may know that we are breaking 1 regulative principles, but we absolutely do not know what the reaction of breaking that regulative principles would be. What further degradation it will lead us to. We don't know that, and without knowing that, we still make that decision of breaking that regulative principles. So that is gambling. We have all heard this very wonderful story of a brahmachari, a celibate, who was approached by a girl, and the girl was very attracted to this brahmachari and wanted to marry him. And after repeated attempts and brahmachari refusing to do this, the girl gave the brahmachari an ultimatum. She says, you got 2 choices. So firstly, she says, I'm going to commit suicide. You got 2 choices. A, either you marry me and this way I'll not commit suicide. And then because if I commit suicide, you're gonna get the sin. So to avoid it, either you marry me, or she said, or you do one of these four things, which is eating meat, taking wine, or have an illicit relationship with me, or these three things. So either marry with me or do these three, or take one of these three things. So the Brahmin thought, I'm in this very precarious situation. If she dies, she's saying, I'll get a reaction. So that's a big problem. And also, we should not let anyone give their life very easily. So that is definitely, we need to save her life for sure. So he ruled that out, that I'm not going to let her suicide. So then he thought, okay, then I have to do, I can marry her because that's one option. So if I marry her, my life will be miserable. And I cannot do this to myself also. I cannot make my life miserable. So he refused that option. Then he went to the other options. He said, okay, having illicit relationship with her. Well, he thought, if I'm not married to her, how can I have a relationship with her? That will be illicit. That will be breaking a pillar of religion also. Yeah, I don't want to do that. Then he thought, okay, killing the goat, which she brought, to kill the goat, have meat. He said, okay, that's a very big sin itself, killing a living entity. Very serious sin. I might be born as a goat. So said, that is also a big problem. So the last he thought, okay, the last option was drink wine or intoxication. So then he thought, actually, if I drink wine, the wine might intoxicate me temporarily, but eventually it will get worn off and I'll be normal in no time. That's what he thought. So he chose to drink wine. So he made that decision to drink wine. But actually, this decision that he will drink wine is the breaking of the first regulative principle, which is gambling. Because he took that option without knowing on what's going to happen after he drank the wine. And eventually we know what happened. They both drank wine, they both got intoxicated, they had illicit relationship, then they got married, and in that intoxication, they also both killed the goat and ate it. So eventually, that brahmachari ended up breaking all four regulative principles. So although this example is generally emphasized about the dangers of mada or intoxication, but the primary reason for his initial fall, was gambling, because he underestimated the reaction of breaking even one regulative principle. Although it on the externals it appeared harmless, but eventually it led to breaking all four pillars of religion. So it was the gambling that he mistakenly got. It was gambling that he mistakenly got obliged to choose any of that option. He could have just said no to all options and then left everything to Krishna, because he cannot break the principles of religion. That's what the promise he has done to Krishna. So here we see Nalakuvira and Manigriva were committing 3 out of the 4 sinful activities, which is illicit relationship, intoxication, and gambling. And therefore, Narad Muni automatically understood that because they are living in this adharmic situation like this, this will eventually lead to meat eating, and which means breaking the pillar of mercy. So Narad Muni understood that. That's why Narad Muni is emphasizing on meat eating, especially in this purport, on this verse, even when Nalakuvira and Manigriva were not found to be eating meat. Another emphasis, Prabhupada also criticizes, in the verse also and criticizes people who are doing animal killing in the name of slaughterhouses. It's definitely one of the reasons for all the wars happening around the world. All the lack of peace is due to killing of these animals, especially cows. And it's also been excursion to kill animals is also been criticized by Prabhupada. And we all know the story of Dashrath Maharaj. Now, Dashrath Maharaj was a very righteous king, his father of Lord Ram. When he was a young man, he learned the art of Dhanurved from his guru. And the art of Dhanurved are very subtle. They are not like present military campaigns where they show big weapons which can just kill people in bulk. And the bigger amount of destruction you can do, the more might you have. But in the art of Dhanurved is very specific. where one can kill very, very specifically and in a target way just by using mantras or by even just by water. And Dashrath Maharaj learned one of these mantras, and he has this special arrow called Shabd Bhedi Ban, where he could actually kill someone just by hearing a sound. If he hears a sound and he leaves the arrow, wherever the sound is coming from, the arrow will hit there, and whoever the object will be, that living entity will die straight away. And one night, and he decided to test these mantras in the night while doing an excursion. And one night he was wandering in the forest, and he was by the lake, and he saw someone, the gurgling of water. And he assumed must be a pashu, a four-legged animal. And assuming that it was an animal, he heard the sound, he chanted the mantras, he shot the arrows, but and he knew whoever is gonna hit is gonna die. But unfortunately, it wasn't an animal. It was an ascetic young man who had blind parents who were nearby. And the only reason he was coming to the water body was because his father told him that his mother was very thirsty and you should fetch some water. So he had gone to fetch some water for the mother as a devoted son. And when Dashrath Maharaj's arrow hit him, he heard a big cry. So he ran to the spot and saw the young man dying. And Dashrath Maharaj became so disturbed and embarrassed about what he has done. And the young man, before dying, explained that his parents were nearby, and then how Dashrath Maharaj to take some water and satisfy their thirst, and also tell them what happened. And he also tell him, can you pull this arrow out? Because thinking that might save him. Dashrath Maharaj followed the instructions of that young man, but he very well knew that this arrow was, will definitely do its job, and the person will die. But still, he followed the instruction and took the arrow out, and the young person died. So the lesson and then eventually Dashrath Maharaj, when he explained everything to his father, the father cursed him that how I am dying in separation from my son, you will die in separation with your son. And that's what actually happened. Dashrath Maharaj actually died in the viraha, in separation of Lord Sri Ram. So the lesson we learn is, firstly, we shouldn't kill anyone unnecessarily. We should be very cautious about killing anyone, any living entity, even an animal, an insect, an ant, unnecessarily. And sometimes, even if we have to kill to protect ourselves or to protect our family or society, it has to be done very, very carefully. Otherwise, that can result in a lot of reaction. So the fact that we are in this material body, this tells us that we have committed these sinful activities. We have definitely broken these 4 regulative principles in the past, in the millions of births we have already taken. And then Prabhupada mentions in the purport that the Supreme Controller is observing every bit of the activity we do. And he rewards and punishes everyone by giving them a suitable body made by the material nature. Actually, Krishna, originally when he created us to have a loving relationship with him, because we are part and parcels of Krishna. We are separated part of Krishna. So Krishna did that so that he can have a relationship with us, just like how we have a relationship within a family, to have loving reciprocation with us. But and because we are part and parcel of Krishna, as Krishna has supreme independence and we are his part, we have part independence or minute independence, which is called our free will. So just and out of this free will, we can choose either to serve Krishna or we can choose not to serve Krishna, because love cannot be forced. This is the nature of free will. Free will means you have a choice. You have a very minute choice, but that choice is either we love Krishna or we want to not love Krishna. And but if we somehow choose not to love Krishna because we want to be the center of the universe, we want to be served, we want to fulfill our material desires, then Krishna very mercifully allows us to do that, to enjoy our lusty desires. And because in spiritual world, there is no place to enjoy one's lusty desires. There is no facility to do that because everyone is busy in getting happiness by fulfilling Krishna's desires. There is no place for enjoying one's own desire. So Krishna says, okay, what should I do with these living entities? They are my part and parcels. They want to enjoy material desires, and there is no facility. So he creates a material world facility for us. This whole creation, this universe, all these universal creation, he creates them. And then we are injected into different bodies. So when the Mahavishnu breathes, there are multiple universes which are coming out of his body. And these universes, they cannot function by itself. So the Vishnu further expands to these universes and enter these universes as the Garbhodakashai Vishnu. And from the Garbhodakashai Vishnu, Lord Brahma stems. And Lord Brahma is the first living entity. He is Adi Kavaye. And what duty he's given? He's given the duty by his father Krishna to progenate, to create all the bodies, so the living entities who have this desire to enjoy from the previous creation, they can get bodies and they can start enjoying their material desires. So this is our situation. So we should understand that if we continue to fulfill our cultivate and fulfill our material desires out of our free will, we are eventually going to be awarded newer and newer bodies, and will be perpetually stuck in this cycle of creation and destruction. But on the other hand, as soon as we try to cultivate and fulfill our spiritual desires, which is to render ahetukiya pratiyata, unmotivated and uninterrupted devotional service to Krishna in order to please him, then we can basically get out of this material creation. Why? Because very similar principle, because in this world, in this material creation, there is no facility, there are no bodies left to do unmotivated and uninterrupted service. We have limitation in this body. So when the material nature sees we have desire to only love Krishna uninterruptedly, unmotivatedly, then material Durga Devi thinks, which is presiding over this material nature, that, oh, this living entity doesn't belong here. He's a misfit. He needs to be sent back to the spiritual world. So we will be sent back to where we belong. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 4:11, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham. Krishna says, as all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So if someone asking for material desires, and Krishna lets them do it. Of course, he doesn't always interferes in devotees' life. But for general people who are asking for desires, Krishna grants them if they have the karma. But for devotees who wants to go back to him, Krishna also responds to it accordingly by sending them sadhus, so that they get association, they get taste for Krishna consciousness, and then eventually go back to Godhead. And the purport then again emphasizes the importance of not eating meat, but also understanding that the type of food which is meant for human intake. The Ishopanishad instructs that one should eat whatever is allocated for human beings. So in all the Vishnu temples, the Krishna temples, the food is actually offered to the deities as a sacred act of service, after which it becomes prasadam. This is to invoke the mercy of Lord in the offered food. The food which we eat after it's offered to the Lord actually becomes the source of nourishment. It becomes a source of spiritual upliftment for us. So we have heard occasionally in Krishna consciousness, this is the moment of chanting, dancing, and feasting. So the feasting is done not just with ordinary food, it's done with special offered food to Krishna, which is called Krishna Prasadam. In Bhagavad Gita 9:27, Krishna says, Yat karosi, yat ashnasi, yat juhosi dadasi yat. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, do it as an offering to me. So Krishna is very clearly saying, whatever you eat, do it as an offering to me. That means whatever we eat first has to be offered to Krishna. But see, Krishna is so kind, he understands our ignorance so much, he's even telling us, okay, I'll also tell you what to offer to me, so that you don't have any guesses. He then says in 9.26, Patram pushpam phalam toyam, yo me bhaktya prayachati, tad aham bhaktya pritam, ashnami prayatatmana, as mentioned on the purport as well. He says, if one offers me a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I'll accept it And he just says, doesn't say just offer me food stuff, which is vegetarian. He's saying, Krishna says, bhaktya uphritam. If one offers me with love and devotion, that's the primary thing that Krishna is looking for. Because, for Krishna, Srimati Radharani cooks for him in Golok Vrindavan. And Srimati Radharani has a quality that she never even repeats any dish. How can we beat Srimati Radharani? What we can do is we can become an extension of Srimati Radharani. Our kitchen can become an extension of Srimati Radharani's kitchen. And we can select our ingredients very nicely for Krishna. Vegetarian food, without any onion, without any garlic, without any mushrooms. We make sure we don't taste the food while preparing, because we leave the pleasure of having the first taste to Krishna, not us. So we don't taste any the food while preparing. We offer the food in the nice dedicated plate for Krishna and bowls for Krishna. We chant some mantras to offer this food to Krishna, and then basically in essence saying, Krishna, please accept this offering as an act of love. And what Krishna accepts is not the food stuff. He accepts that act of love, the devotion with which we are preparing and we are offering, because he's not hungry for the food stuff. He's not hungry at all. He is only hungry, and he's eternally hungry for the food which is offered with love. He's hungry for that love. Just like in the Damodar Leela, he's stealing butter, not to have the butter. He's stealing the butter as in the love with which this butter is made by the devotees of Vrindavan. He wants to taste that love while eating that butter. So we all can do this. We also have these temples like harekrishnatemple.burbank. We have our Saturday feast and Sunday feast, which is an amazing opportunity to hear Krishna Katha and then also honor prasadam while associating with devotees and discussing Krishna's pastimes. So I'll like to stop here. Devotees, Hare Krishna. Please let me know if someone has any questions, comments, or realizations to share. All good. Thank you for joining us, devotees, today. Hare Krishna. Have a wonderful day. Grantraj srimadbhagavatam ki jai. Jai Guru Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu, for wonderful class.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thanks for a great class.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.